In this video, I'm going to talk about why so many beginners, when it comes to starting online business, writing, content creation, that whole pool of like make money online, grow your social media, get clients. I'm going to tell you why so many of them fail. And I'm going to tell them what you need to do to fix the problem. So I'm going to tell you what needs to happen in order for you to reach your goals when it comes to growing your audience and your income. So here is the problem when you're new. When you are new, nobody knows who you are, nobody cares, and there's just no foundation to build on, right? So it's like, how do you build an audience when you don't have an audience? How do you sell stuff when you have no one to sell to? How do you get your name out there where nobody knows who you are? So I have an answer to this question or these questions. And the answer that you need to focus on is volume. And the biggest mistake that most newbie content creators and business owners make is they don't do nearly enough volume and they make assumptions based on like very little data. So I'm going to explain that in a little bit more depth. So the other day, I posted a tweet that said, if you are brand new to the game, if you're brand new on Twitter, LinkedIn, these social media writing platforms, you need to generate what is called a flurry of activity, right? So I told people that they should be writing 3 to 5 posts per day. They should be leaving 30 to 50 comments per day, and they should be sending 100 DMs a day trying to promote whatever it is they have to sell if they have an offer. I hosted a virtual summit. We had 21 different 6 and 7 figure business owners come to teach talks. We had 2 different ghostwriters come. One person's name is Marcos Ruiz. He owns a ghostwriting agency. And another one is Clifton, who owns a ghostwriting agency as well. He also goes by the name of Legacy Builder. Both of them said that when they were trying to get their ghostwriting services off the ground, that they sent 100 DMs, cold DMs, mind you, right? So there's warm DMs where you're reaching out to people who are actually following you or liking your content, but cold DMs are when they don't even know who you are. And honestly, the success rate of cold DMs isn't very high, but they each sent out 100 DMs every single day until they started to land clients, right? So I got those books from Alex Hormozy, right? So like everyone loves to like fanboy Hormozy, which is great because he's a really good entrepreneur and I love his stuff too. But they don't actually apply what he says, right? So you actually have read, everyone talks about how they've read $100 million leads, but they don't actually do what's in $100 million leads. In $100 million leads, he tells you that you should be sending 100 DMs every single day. That if you're trying to get your business off the ground and land clients, the very first thing you should do in the morning is send 100 DMs every single day. So every single day I go on Twitter, I go on LinkedIn, I see all these people with these names in their bio. They say, "Oh, I'm a copywriter, I'm a freelancer," but they don't have any clients. And then I go into the DMs and I talk to them because I do DM prospecting every day because I like making money. So I actually do what's in the books, right? Actually go do what's in the books, right? And so I'm going and talking to these people and I'm like, okay, what are you doing to get clients? They're like, oh, I did a little bit of outreach, try to hear them. I'm like, okay, how many DMs did you send? They're like, oh, I sent like 20. I was like, oh, you sent like 20 today? Like, no, I sent like 20 total and nobody responded. So I kind of got demotivated and I just don't feel like I'm getting traction. I'm like, what? Like the bare minimum you should set is 20 DMs or messages per day to get clients, right? And then let's also talk about comments, right? So when you have a very small following on social media, the way to grow is by leaving lots and lots of comments. It's also by leaving very good comments. So another mistake newbie people on social media make is their comments suck, right? So they either say great posts or they either rephrase whatever the person just said in the tweet above, and they just sound like everyone else. And it's honestly not that difficult to write good comments, right? So when you're on social media, you have to understand it's social. You want to have conversations, right? So when I reply to someone's tweet, I'm trying to expand on the idea, right? I might say, this is how I personally implemented this. I might add another idea on top of their idea, but you're adding to the conversation. So your comments basically give people a gauge of like how kind of with it you are. Like people can tell whether you understand the game or not by your commenting strategy, right? So one way to get better at it is just to do it very often, but you have to just whip up a lot of momentum and velocity when you're new, right? So I said 100 DMs a day, 30 to 50 comments a day, 3 to 5 posts a day, right? So in the beginning, like the number of posts that you do doesn't really even matter either. It's mostly the comments, but you just have to generate lots and lots of activity. And it's just not something most people are willing to do, right? So I saw another guy on Twitter, I think his name is Dylan Ladd. He said like getting your first thousand followers is like eating glass. And it is like that. And it's not necessarily fun all the time. It just takes a lot of legwork. It's kind of like a rocket, like getting a rocket out into space. Like you need so much combustion and fire and all these things colliding together in order to lift that thing up and get it out into space. But then once it's out there, it kind of just floats around in space, right? So it's very much like that when it comes to things like growing your follower count, landing your first client, landing your first couple of clients. You're just going to have to do a lot more work, a lot more volume than you think is required. And the thing about being online is there's an endless amount of people to reach out to. So if you're a freelancer or if you have something to offer and you're broke, well, that's on you. Like you're not doing enough of what is required to get the job done. And there's just so many people to reach out to. Like you can go reach out to people on LinkedIn, you can reach out on Twitter, you can use Upwork. There's actually good jobs on Upwork if you learn how to sift and find them. I have had several of my students, what they did to quit their job was like kind of supplementing their medium income with Upwork proposals. Right? I just followed a woman who has made $1 million on Upwork. Right? There's tools that you can hunt for leads for companies to do cold email, like ListKit, Apollo's another one. They have job boards, like the Pro Writer job board, Indie Writers job board. So there's lots of different places where you can go and prospect for clients. But in order for you to reach your goals, you just have to look in the mirror and have an honest conversation with yourself and just admit that you're not doing enough. You're just not doing enough volume. And volume applies to everything. It applies to how much you write. I see a lot of people who complain about their lack of traction with their content, and they haven't posted nearly enough content. I've been writing and publishing content every single day for the past 8 years, every day. And most content creators, they give up like very quickly. They give up like absurdly quickly. And like you just have to understand like what is required of you in this game, right? So like a lot of creators they just want this success like extremely easily, and they just have like crazy unrealistic expectations. The good news is you actually can get traction relatively quickly. Like you can start landing your first clients 30 days into the game. you can start making money your first month 100%. So I'm not saying that it's going to take you forever to land a client. It's not going to take you forever to get traction, but you have to do some level of volume. And the more volume that you do, it shrinks your timeline. So someone's like, oh, I posted one tweet every other day, sent like 12 DMs, and I don't comment, and I'm wondering why I'm making money. I'm like, you shouldn't be wondering why you're not making money. The reason why you're not making money is abundantly clear to me. So you just have to have that conversation with yourself. You have to remove this phrase like I'm just not getting enough traction yet. You shouldn't be worried about traction. You should be worried about inputs. Too many beginner, newbie creators and social media writers, business owners, they're way too worried about the output. Like focus on the input. I promise you that if you're doing this flurry of activity every single day, again, it doesn't have to take forever, like just a couple months. Like you can build a business relatively quickly if you do enough input and do enough volume. So the next time that you feel like you're not making enough money, where you're complaining that you don't have clients, where you feel like you're not getting enough followers, enough views, take whatever number you think is necessary to reach your goals and multiply it by 10.